Hello, this is my CS50 final project, the Smart Hospital Assistant. My name is Jonathan, and I'm currently located in Texas, but I go to school at the Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, Maryland. With introductions done, let's get started. So, the inspiration behind the Smart Hospital Assistant is that operating rooms are high stress environments, which can lead to things being very intense and busy. And due to some operations that might involve a lot of blood, a lot of hands on stuff in the actual operating room, the environment can actually be non sterile. And ultimately, operating rooms are very expensive. And these factors combined can really easily cause surgical mishaps during operations, inefficiency or miscommunication between the operating team, surgical site infections, and ultimately longer operation and hospital wait times. So this slide is actually on the abstract that I wrote for a research paper that was ultimately published by SPIE in February of 2020, so last year. And this project was built on that foundation. However, with the very limited coding knowledge I had back then, it was very crude, it was very inefficient, a lot of the algorithms were very slow. So I really took this time to improve what I already had. But the abstract nonetheless is still the same, just that the actual program itself has been largely improved, has been made a lot faster, and I added a couple more functions. So before I actually dive into the Smart Hospital Assistant itself, I wanted to go over the brief history of voice control in medicine. So a company known as Computer Motion, which is now Surgical Intuitive, the company that actually built the Da Vinci robot, which a lot of people might actually recognize from the meme they did surgery on a grape. But its predecessor, Computer Motion, once built a robot known as the ASOP. It was a voice-controlled surgery robot that gave surgeons an extra point of flexibility during very specific operations. The intent behind the ASOP was to allow surgeons to just have more general control over the entire operation, but be able to delegate less intense tasks for the robot itself and therefore allow these surgeons to focus more on the hands-on portions of the surgery. However, beyond the ASOP, there weren't many voice-controlled inventions that were built since then. This was mainly due to a research paper that was conducted to see if the ASOP was worth its while. And it ultimately concluded that not only was there a steep learning curve to use the ASOP, the actual quality of results of the specific operations itself weren't that much better when the ASOP just wasn't even involved. So ultimately, a lot of inventors and physicians just decided it wasn't worth learning an entirely new robot to conduct these operations. But now in modern times, with the power of machine learning, artificial intelligence, and just better programming algorithms, voice control just might make a comeback. So the main programming tools of the Smart Hospital Assistant include Python. I initially wanted to try and program the entire thing in C, but ultimately Python works a lot better with my second tool, which was Flask. And within Flask, I use a lot of Flask Ask, which was able to connect my program to the third tool, the Alexa Amazon Developer Console, where I was able to build specific commands and make specific keywords. And lastly, ngrok, which was a secure HTTPS tunnel that mimicked a user or programmer such as myself to connect to a secure hospital server where patient files might be very, very private. So here's just a diagram of how the actual program works. So potentially you would have a physician first give a verbal command, and a smart device such as an Alexa would take in that verbal command and send it to the smart device developer server, which in this case would be the Amazon Alexa developer console. And the Amazon developer console would then send a JSON command to ngrok, which was a secure HTTPS tunnel, which was able to bypass a firewall and connect to a mimicked hospital monitoring database. And within the actual hospital server, you would have my Python program, which was pre-written, and using the JSON command, it would be able to differentiate what actual function the intended command was for. And the three functions that we currently have are the patient file finder, a camera and video recorder, and a virtual online conferencing app. And after the function was completed, a task confirmation audio script would be played back to the physician to let them know that the function is working. So I already briefly went over the SHA functions, But in more detail, the first ability of the SHA is the ability to find a patient's file in a hospital server. So obviously I don't have access to a real hospital server. So one actual way to improve my current Python program is to find a way to integrate the program with Epic's patient filing system. And Epic is the most widely used EHR in America. So the second ability is the ability to operate a camera and video recorder. The idea behind this is that perhaps a surgeon wants to record a portion of a surgery and use it as reference, or to let their med students or any other person to watch it and perhaps learn from that actual video. And lastly, the third function of the SHA is the ability to operate a Zoom meeting and use all of the respective controls of the Zoom application. So the idea behind this is, in large hospitals, there are many different departments with many different specialists. And there are many cases where, for example, you can have a surgery being conducted in the cardiology department that might unexpectedly come across a tumor while the surgery is being done. And in order for a higher chance of success of the actual surgery itself, a specialist within the oncology department might be paged to come over and give advice. But the actual process takes a lot of time, because first a nurse or attendant has to page the specialist has to see it, then they might have to run across all the way through a very large hospital in order to get to the actual operating room where the operation is being conducted. So instead of that, we can have a Zoom meeting where the actual surgeon can entirely operate using verbal commands, and whenever the specialist is available, they just hop into the Zoom meeting, give advice, and hopefully increase the success rate of the actual operation. So if you're curious, you can actually watch the SHA in action. So this video was recorded in the neurosurgery department of the Johns Hopkins Medical Campus, and the video features two of my friends conducting a mock surgery while showcasing the SHA's functions.
So start surgical assistant.
Surgical assistant now available.
Open the patient scans.
Patient images are now displayed.
Start a Zoom meeting.
Zoom meeting now in progress.
Leave the Zoom meeting.
Leaving Zoom meeting.
Take a picture.
The picture has been saved to patient file.
Start recording.
Video recording has started.
Stop recording.
The recording has been saved to patient file.
And that will be all. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully with more time, with more experience, and just with more creativity, I develop more smart hospital functions in the near future. This has been great. CS50 has been a very wonderful learning experience for me, and I'm grateful for this entire course. Thank you so much.